Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. Get ready to take a trip down memory lane. Alright, so it looks like we have some Game Boy games here, some PSP games, various different, we got Game Boy Advances right here, and Nintendo controllers. We have a bunch of controllers down here. And we are here at a game exchange over in Wallingford, Connecticut, just in case you have not noticed. We have a bunch of DS games, and we've got some controllers on the bottom for the Wii U and the Wii. And it looks like we have some 3DS consoles. A bunch of cables for the Wii and Wii U. Got the nunchuck. Got a bunch of PlayStation controllers right there. Look at this. Got a bunch of cables. And then we have Atari 2600 games and Odyssey 2 games. That's unusual. We got some Sega Genesis games, some N64, Super Nintendo. This case is basically for like the more expensive or obscure games. Got the McKid games up there for the NES. We got 32X Doom right there in the back. Got a bunch of PlayStation games. You see right there. We've got Mortal Kombat Trilogy right there. Got a few Dreamcast games, Sega CD games, 3DO games. A lot of obscure stuff, and this is something new. They have Pokemon cards. The last time I came here, they did not have any of these Pokemon cards or Magic cards at all. Something they actually introduced recently. And, all these cards right here. So I guess if you want to buy some Pokemon cards, you can go to Game Exchange, and they have Pokemon cards now, and Magic cards. Tons and tons of cards. Look at that. And I don't know what that is. But here we go. We have a nice case right here with all the good stuff. Got some Virtual Boy games right there. Got a Lynx cartridge. TurboGrafx 16 cartridges. Or cards, whatever you want to call those things. And this is definitely the more expensive case. Got the Zelda and the Super Nintendo Kirby. Got the really, really good stuff. Good PlayStation games right here. Spider-Man. Look at this. That one NBA game in the back, I have no idea why that's expensive, but it's like NBA in the Zone 2000. For some reason that game is expensive. I don't know why. Got a couple of Sega CD games, more PlayStation games. Got Q*bert on the Super Nintendo. Got Tamba. That's actually my copy of Tamba right there. I traded that in. So I had a spare copy. We had Chuck Rock on the Sega CD. We got a bunch of these amiibo figurine looking things. And then right here we have N64 games. Tons and tons of N64 games. And you can see there's tons of sports games, of course, because nobody wants to buy them. We got some NASCAR games right there, more sports games, racing games, NBA, Madden. And up here we have a Lego Racer. I should have actually picked up Lego Racer. I completely missed that. Hey You Pikachu. Got a few different games up here on top. And up here we have controllers, third-party controllers. I bought a couple of those at one point, but I did not like the joystick on them. It was okay. And down here we have Super Nintendo games. For the exception of that, there's like one lonely Atari Jaguar game. Got a bunch of Super Nintendo games. Hey, look at this. Got Art of Fighter right there. Got a bunch of Super Nintendo games. Let's just buy them all. Let's buy two, get one free. So we will get a bunch of games. We have Mortal Kombat 2. NBA Live, NBA Jam. Look at this. If you want sports games, this is the place to come. We got like a whole rack of sports games right there. And we have some NES games. Wheel of Fortune. Look at this. We have a bunch of Ninja Turtles right there on the bottom. A bunch of Super Mario games right there. And what else do we have? Skate or Die. I think I might actually have that. So yeah, the NES selection was pretty good. It wasn't too bad. Pinbot. Now that was an unusual looking game. I was thinking about picking that up. but I have hardly any place for any NES games. I have probably over 100 NES games. This was actually a pretty decent selection, though. It's not bad. Double Dribble! That's definitely my favorite basketball game right there. Yeah, look at this. It keeps going and going. Tons of NES games. And we got these Retron gaming... Oh, they even sell the 72-pin adapter. Look at that. That's cool. So you got the controllers and the Retron console, all that stuff. And you got Atari 2600 AC adapters up there in those boxes. And speaking of Atari, before we get down there, let's look at the Sega Genesis games first. More and more sports games. We got Tiny Toons. Got some more sports games. They got various different Sega Genesis games. Bear cartridge. And now we have the Atari games. And a very, very good selection of Atari games. But I own just about every single Atari game that they have on here, so I really didn't pick anything up. There might have been a few games I didn't own. And down here we have Game Boy Advance. A whole bucket full of Game Boy Advance games. I'll probably look through that and pick out a game. And there is a Pac-Man game there I might pick up. I just saw that. And it looks like we got some regular Game Boy games here and Game Gear games. And what is this? We have some Odyssey 2 games. Look at this. That is highly unusual. We have a bunch of Odyssey 2 cartridges. We have a couple of Atari 7800 cartridges right there. You got the Whiz Whiz, whatever the hell that is. And then we have Wii U games. The Wii U is quite the obscure console itself, but there's still plenty of games for it. And over here we have movies. Tons and tons of movies. So even if you don't plan on buying any video games, if you want to buy movies... Oh, wait a minute. There's Sega Dreamcast. So forget about the movies. Let's buy some Sega Dreamcast games. Got Rainbow Six. We got quite a few different things here. Nah, I didn't pick up any Dreamcast games this time around, but you know what? I should have picked up Rainbow Six. I don't think I have that. Got Sega CD games up here, and a couple of Sega Saturn games. Got PSP games. More PSP games, which I really don't play PSP games too much. But you have more PSP games right here. And more PS Vita games. And we have comic books. More comic books. And more comic books. Look at this. Got the Punisher. Superman. Look at this. It's something new also. I don't remember seeing comic books here before. This is something definitely new. Got Judge Dredd. What do we got? Got the Hulk versus Batman. That's an unusual thing. Ghost Rider. Conan. Got Conan comic books up there. Got all kinds of stuff. Look at this. So if you're a comic book fan, hey, we got comic books here at Game Exchange. And then we got the Nintendo Wii games. And despite what people say about the Nintendo Wii, it had plenty of games and a lot of good games. Look at this. Got plenty of good games here. Look at this. Let's see what we got. We got all the Lego games, a couple of sports games here and there. The Lego games were pretty fun. You know, we got this huge wall of Wii games. I think probably has the most amount of games out of all any console. The Wii games have like the biggest population in Game Exchange, and we have GameCube games, tons of GameCube games. You know, the GameCube games kind of not the biggest lot of GameCube games, to be honest. They had a decent amount, but it was on a little shelf next to all this anime stuff right here. And to the left of that, there's a ton of Xbox games, like the original Xbox. You see right there? And I remember when I was there, somebody actually went in there and bought a couple of original Xbox games. They were looking for specific games. So I guess, for some reason over in that area, Wallingford, Connecticut, the Xbox is quite popular. And over here we have the PlayStation games, got the long caser. A bunch of long casers. Long case games. Look at this. Shockwave Assault. If I read that correctly, we got Asteroids. I remember owning Asteroids back in the day on the PlayStation. We got tons and tons of games here. Just look at them. We got Pool Borders. Well, what do we got here? Dance Dance. We got Die Hard. Frogger Gex. Just looking at a few games here. We got Driver 1 and 2. We got these Dracula games right there, which I've never seen before. Knockout King. You've got some sports games coming up here. Got tons and tons of sports games. Got the Monopoly game right there. Got NFL Blitz. Definitely a great sports game. And we got SpongeBob. Yeah, SpongeBob SquarePants. Got Triple Play. Got Twisted Metal. That's definitely a great game. That's actually my favorite Twisted Metal. Got WrestleMania the arcade game. Warzone Attitude. Have all three of those games. Those games are awesome. And what do we got here? We got some PlayStation 3 games right here. Now I'll probably pick up a couple of PS3 games, which in fact I did. So I bought a couple of PlayStation games for my dad. I bought him Diablo, God of War 3, and what was the last game? I forgot what the last game was, but it was a racing game. I know that. And over here we have, looks like PS2 games. And it looks like we have a bunch of Rock Band and Guitar Hero stuff right here. Tons and tons. If you want a drum kit or a guitar, it's all right there. You got Blu-ray movies, if you want to buy a Blu-ray movie. I actually have a pretty big Blu-ray movie collection. They've got Xbox One games right here. We've got DS and 3DS, all that stuff. We've got Wii, actually Nintendo Switch games. On my Xbox One, I buy all my games digital. And there's all the 3DS games right there. And we got PS4 games. Tons and tons of PS4 games, as you can see there. And around the corner right here, we have some movies. And a couple of Switch games right there.
Alright, let's take a look at what we got here from Game Exchange. We got Roadsters for the N64. Top Gear Rally for the N64. Revolt for the N64. We'll check all these out. And then we got picked up in a few Game Boy games. We got Pokemon Puzzle Challenge, Battletoads, and Pac-Man Collection for Game Boy Advance. Now that is our finds over at Game Exchange. Nothing really too spectacular this time around, but it's better than nothing. They still had quite a bit of stuff. I would have picked up the Virtual Boy and TurboGrafx games if I had either or a console. Most of the Atari games, as you can see there, I already own just about every single Atari game that they have. So that is it. If you enjoyed this episode of Memory Lane, don't forget to give a thumbs up and comment down below.